Good afternoon, everybody. Really exciting for me to be here today. Yeah, you might have noticed that already. There is a lot of excitement, a lot of hype around advertising nowadays. Let's find out why. Today we will talk about THEOads and server-guided ad insertion, the technology behind it, and how we are using this technology not only to revolutionize the advertising space, but also to unlock endless opportunity in terms of user engagement for our customers. My name is Andrea Cani. I'm a technical delivery manager at THEO Technologies, now part of the Dolby Group. I've been working in the digital video domain for over 15 years now. Been an incredible journey, seen a lot of things changing. And since I joined THEO Technologies 2 years ago, it was very inspiring to see how a small group of very talented video engineers contributed to massively shape the streaming industry. Today I'm here with one of these guys, a good colleague of mine, Gilles Morris. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Andrea. I'm Gilles. At THEO, I steer the engineering team, the development team of THEO Player, our universal video player, and also THEOads as a product owner. But I still like to consider myself a software engineer as well. It's how I started at THEO years back, and how I learned and contributed to the entire THEO product stack, from the player to our low latency streaming solution, to now also THEOads, what we're talking about here today. So, Andrea, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, let's have a quick look at the agenda. We will start talking a bit about the current status of the ad insertion technology today, showing how we took the road towards server-guided ad insertion. Then we will be focusing on our product, THEOads, its key benefits, and we will discuss afterwards about other opportunities beyond advertising that this technology is unlocking. So let's talk about the current status of the technology today. Many of you may be already familiar with the terminology client-side ad insertion and server-side ad insertion. I will briefly discuss, highlighting the differences. It will help us out to talk more about server-guided ad insertion afterwards. So on client-side ad insertion, the big portion of the advertising flow is managed by the player on the client side. So the player knows the data of the user. This allows a lot of real-time capabilities and a lot of personalization. Still can be challenging in terms of cross-platform support. So providing smooth ad playback and the smooth transition between the main content and ads can be challenging on server side. On top of that, this setup is quite prone to ad blockers, which is one of the main reasons why many people then decide to switch to server-side ad insertion. Server-side ad insertion means that everything happens on the server side. So this offers a better quality, smooth ad transition between ad and content. Is a setup which is definitely more robust towards the ad blockers. In the other hand, as everything needs to be prepared up front, this setup introduces most of the time some extra latency, and the startup time are increased. Another thing that we need to take into consideration when talking about server side, it's can become expensive and difficult to scale. You need to take into account a feature that needs to be scaled to whatever amount of user you want to reach. So yeah, in summary, we can say that client side offer a big level of personalization and insights, and struggle with cross-platform support, cross-platform implementation. While server side is more resilient towards ad blockers, but introduce latency and become complex and costly. So to close up here, neither of the two solutions is the best one. So at the end, it will be about what are your goals, what is the use case that you want to implement to decide which model to adopt. In this sense, we will see a bit later how server-side redistribute the responsibilities between client and server, allowing an overall better approach when it comes to ad insertion. But yeah, what trends do we see now in the market? Increased demand for personalization. We are seeing indeed a growing demand for personalized ads. We often hear people saying, I do not mind actually ads, as long as they are relevant to me, as long as they play smoothly, as long as they do not interfere too much with the experience. So that's one of the main trends that we are seeing in the market. Of course, we are looking for a solution that is more efficient, highly scalable, and a solution which can create more engaging experience in one end, and in the other end, increasing the opportunity for monetize. Because at the end, we don't have to forget this. The main goal, it remains monetization, right? We want to monetize while keeping the user super engaged. Another trend that we see in the market is the broadcast-like experience. A lot of customers ask us, how can I still get the experience, the feeling I was used from the traditional broadcast television? How can I get the same latency? How can I get the same smooth experience when ads are played? And then, of course, measuring the ad experience is crucial. An ad that poorly plays, it's bad. Not only for your brand, for your app, but of course also for the advertiser, which rely on you to deliver high quality. So let's try to understand then why everybody's looking at optimizing the advertising space. The current perception is quite bad, actually. Let's try to think about it. So you, as a provider, you do everything to create the best experience possible for your user. You try to kill the latency as much as you can. You try to increase the quality as much as you can, providing the same seamless experience across multiple different devices. And then, bam, you shoot an app which completely break the flow of engagement between the user and the content. That's something indeed that we all need to think about, because again, it sounds like an old style way of doing advertising. So the market demands indeed more engagement. We need to find kind of a balance between monetization and user engagement. What we have noticed in the recent years is that actually we have observed a progressive change in the way users, digital users want to get digital content. We have observed a change from passive mode to active mode, if I can define it like that, right? So for the user, especially for the young generation, it's not enough anymore to just get passively a content and watch it. No, the user want to interact with it. User want to be part of the digital experience. And in this sense, it becomes absolutely clear that ads needs to be part of that experience. And also not only creating new experience, new opportunities for monetization, not only creating new engagement experience, but we also hear often customers that are requesting just do the full content replacement, just do it better, make it more efficient, more scalable, and more smooth for the user. So those are more or less the trends that we are observing now in the market, and I think this leads me to give you the word and talk a bit more about.
Yes, so the question becomes, how do we tackle those things? And well, there's a new kid in town, but it's also been a bit the talk of the town already, actually, server-guided ad insertion. So some of you may have already heard about it. But if not, let me give you a brief introduction. So in server-guided ad insertion, it's a bit of a hybrid approach between the two. So control of where ad breaks need to be, how long they need to be, and also part of the control for what that ad experience should look like remains at the server side. But the actual ad request and the stitching of the content we bring back to the player side, to the client side of things. And so in this setup, the player gets a fully pre-transcoded, ready-to-play manifest that contains all of the ads for the entire ad break and then takes care of the stitching on the player side. And what we experience and what we see is that this is a more simple and more logical redistribution of responsibilities in the ad insertion flow, which gives us a lot of the benefits from both CSAI and SSAI while tackling some of their shortcomings. So, for instance, already scaling-wise, we bring back the opportunity to scale easily because all of that stitching, that doesn't need to happen on the server side anymore. We bring that back to the client side. The server is only doing signaling on where that needs to be. This scales just as well as CSAI, essentially. Sorry. Scroll up. Yeah, okay. Aside from that, monetization-wise, there's also definitely advantages here when you compare it to example for server side. So in server side, your ads, for example, if you're filling up a VOD or a long DVR window, you need to be pre-filling all of those ads while you're not even sure that they might all be watched. So that can have a negative effect on your rendering rate. While in SGAI, ads are only going to be requested right before the actual ad is going to play, which ensures that which gives them a much higher probability of actually being viewed and possibly improving your rendering rates that way. And compared to CSAI as well, the fact that we integrate differently with the ad server and also the fact that we still have a server component there gives us different ways of being able to deal with ad blockers as well, also offering improvements over just plain CSAI. And in terms of cross-platform support as well, by leveraging existing standards, but also upcoming standards like HLS interstitials or MPEG- alternative events, or alternative MPDs, sorry. And together with that, in the case of THEOads, leveraging our expertise as a player company, we can still deliver solid cross-platform support and solid smooth playback across platforms. So, and then the most important advantage of this setup is the simplicity that it brings, and with that, the flexibility that it gives by taking back some of that control to the player side. And I'll get into that a bit more later. Let's first talk about THEOads. So THEOads is the product that we at Theo have built around SGAI. It's an integrated solution together with our player that delivers innovative ad experience. So maybe first a few words on the why and the how that we built THEOads. So first off, the challenges that we've already been discussing, right? The challenges with CSAI and SSAI. As a player company, we're really in a position to know what kind of extra benefits and advantages we can bring by taking back some of that control to the client side. And we were actually triggered in venturing into this ourselves by customers who were coming to us and saying, I'm experiencing these issues with scaling my SSAI solution. I'm experiencing other issues. Can't you help us find a better way of how we insert our ads? So that's why we started exploring and ended up at SGAI. And while figuring that out and while exploring, we actually ended up partnering with Google as well. So Google has also been looking a lot at SGAI more and more recently. And they were also looking at partners to explore this technology with them and to develop it together with them. So we did, and now it's becoming a reality with THEOads. And I should also add that it's been a very interesting and fun process with the Google guys of innovation and experimentation. So that was really pleasant. Another big reason why we ventured into this was low latency. So as you may or may not know, at Theo, we're really at the forefront of low latency. We already were with our protocol HESP that we developed and our Theo Live solution around that. And now even more, now that we were acquired by Dolby, we also have Millicast coming into the mix, so low latency remains a very important thing for us. And in that case as well, we were experimenting with, okay, how are we going to do ads at super low latency? And we were trying that with existing ad insertion mechanisms and just running into limitations there as well. So also for the low latency case, we really see SGAI as an amazing opportunity to be able to do ads at low latency. So let's take a look at how THEOads actually works. So there's two components to it. a backend component, which we call the signaling service, and then the player, which of course, in our case, is THEOplayer. Now, to help you get an idea of how it actually works, let's start at the player side. So on the right side, when you want to start playback, as always, it starts with a manifest request. So this manifest request through the CDN will end up at our signaling service. The goal of the signaling service, what that's supposed to do is make sure that the proper markers are embedded in the manifest to tell the player where ad breaks need to be, what they need to look like, how long they need to be, etc. It can do that in two ways, either by markers that are already in the content stream that we consume and that we're monetizing. So for all the existing markers that are currently commonly in use with SSAI, like queuing, queuouts, or SCGAI-35 markers, or date ranges, we can support all of those. Or if there's no markers in the stream, we also simply offer an API on our signaling service to allow you to just control through a REST API where you want ad breaks to be and what you want them to look like. So either of two ways, we insert the necessary markers into the stream. The manifest goes back to the player, and the CDN is mentioned here explicitly because this is the same manifest for all clients, as opposed to SSAI. This is a fully cacheable manifest. The markers are the same for everyone. The personalization is really back happening at the client side. So that manifest ends up back at the player. Player knows where the ad breaks need to be. As soon as it comes close to an ad break, it's going to do an ad request to the ad server, which in our case is a Google Ad Manager integration right now. From there, it's going to get back just a different manifest that has all of the ads pre-transcoded and integrated for the entire ad break, and then stitch that in on the player side. So that gives us a lot of flexibility in things that we can do with that. So let's take a look at the key benefits and what it can actually do. So in terms of benefits, what we've already been discussing before, the benefits of SGAI in terms of scaling, in terms of a simpler, more cost-effective setup, opportunities to improve your rendering rates, and doing personalized experiences at scale. So some of the examples of now what we can do with that simple setup is still doing a single ad replace as you're used to, but do it in a more cost-effective manner. But we can do a lot more interesting things. For example, the double box, where you insert an ad next to your content and content remains visible on the left side of things, which is already a great example of doing a less intrusive ad insertion than a full replace. Or you could think of an L shape where it's either content playing in a smaller part of the view, where you have a companion ad that's relevant to the content alongside it, like the example at the bottom of the slide. Or you could show an ad which is then enhanced with additional information on the side and maybe an interactive QR code. So these are the experience that we already have in production now live. We can do a POC with this with anyone who wants to try it out tomorrow, essentially. But I've been talking a lot about the flexibility and the simplicity of the system. So there's actually a lot more that we're looking at doing and a lot more that we can do with this setup. So let's take a look at that now.
Yes, thanks, Jill. We are just back from IBC in Amsterdam, where we had the opportunity to present officially for the first time our THEOads product. And it goes without saying we had a very big audience looking at our demo. You can see here, we put together a killer demo, I need to say. A button against the wall where people could just simply press it, and we were triggering into different monitors the same ads with the 3 different ads format, as Jill explained. Ad replacement, double box, and L shape. And what was crazy to see is that people were like looking at the demo, and after getting the introduction about the technology, they were like, wow, I could think at least of 10 different use cases where this technology could be applied and it could benefit so much my business. And that's indeed what we see and what we absolutely believe, right? This technology will allow us to unlock a lot of opportunities in terms of user engagement. And that's the message we want to bring a bit today, right? So the technology is there, is already quite mature, so it's time to sit together, setting up a POC, testing stuff, and see what we can do in terms of user engagement. indeed. We don't have to limit ourselves to just using this technology to insert advertising. This one, what you see now in the picture, it's already a good example on how we could use THEOads to engage the user even more. As you can see in this picture, we may basically still adapt this technology to provide highlights of the game that you are actually watching. Latency, in this case, is critical. We as a front runner in latency, we will be able to smooth out the experience for the user. But this is just one of the many examples that we could think of. For example, using the same setup, you may think that you can subscribe to your favorite team, your favorite players, and while watching Team A on the main screen, you can get already personalized content on the other box coming from another team, coming from your favorite teams. And that's actually the revolution here, what we feel really confident to talk about today.
And not only in sports, right? You could also imagine if you have a VOD content library, for example, you could be using these mechanisms as well to do near the end of a piece of content, show personalized recommendations, personalized trailers for other content that you want to serve up to your users. So it's really the flexibility that's so powerful here.
And again, not only the flexibility, but also the fact that there is a redistribution of the responsibility between the server and client. So as I said at the beginning, client knows that the player knows the data of the user, right? So this will allow really to fine-tune the setup in a way that you can get really one-to-one personalized highlights for the current user. So that's again a pretty cool use case. And then, yeah, flexibility goes also beyond the video. We are already working on a POC with a customer who wants to start using THEOads to insert image overlays on the screen. They want to have the flexibility to control the logo watermark, resize it, switch around the logos. And again, this setup will offer the flexibility to do it. Or another simple use cases, but which will be quite cool. While watching your game, you may want to get scoring data about your favorite football team, and we can simply display on via an overlay on screen. This is again applying the same logic that we just explained. This is actually powerful, and again, endless opportunities. So we keep on encouraging our customers to provide us with ideas, right? So we are here also to listen.
Yeah, and we don't even need to be limited to images here, right? You could think of interactive elements coming into play and triggering those with the same mechanism as well. So especially if you're looking at the low latency interactive use cases, bringing up interactive elements at low latency with this mechanism could deliver a super interesting viewer experience.
Indeed. Latency will be, of course, a crucial element in those kind of use cases, right? So.
All right.
We are closing up, right?
Yes, exactly. So key takeaways from what we've seen and what we've experienced to do ads well, it's important to keep your viewer engaged during ads. And we believe that THEOads using SGAI can give you the benefits of CSAI and SSAI combined and open up a lot of possibilities in terms of what you want to do for viewer experiences, for ad insertions, and so much more, honestly. And I'm going to repeat it one last time. Simplicity and flexibility are really the key here. We've presented a couple of use cases, but we're really still building this up together. We're very curious to hear what are your use cases. So we're eager to hear. I already see a hand up, so we'll be right down on the floor and very happy to talk to anyone, answer questions, and have a chat about what use cases could be relevant for your business. So yeah, with that, all that's left is I'd say thank you.
Great.
Thank you for
Thanks
your
a lot.